everyone. Welcome to Book Chat. My name is Leslie, and I am the Reading Safari and Stream Coordinator for Monterey County Free Libraries. Today for our book chat, I have this book, Arcadia by Lauren Groff. This book was published in 2012, and it clocks in at 289 pages. I read this book for the first time years and years ago, closer to when it was published. And I recently reread it, and I was just as captivated as I was the first time. So I thought it'd be awesome to talk about it a little bit. This book is the story of Bit. He's a little boy who is born and grows up on a commune called Arcadia, and that's where obviously the title comes from. Bit is very much of a watcher and an observer, and he kind of spends his whole life just kind of looking at everybody, and he really loves his life in Arcadia with his parents, Abe and Hannah. And in Arcadia, everybody everybody lives together. Everyone gives up their money for the group, for the group to have and to make use of. And they cook and clean and build and live and work together. It's very, very hippie-ish, and it just sounds really magical told through Bit's point of view. So his parents, who I mentioned, Abe and Hannah, they figure heavily throughout the book, even into Bit's adulthood. And Bit himself is a very small child, born small, and that's why he was given the nickname Bit. So it's really, really easy to imagine, this tiny little boy in kind of this idyllic place out in the middle of nowhere, grow up and watch the world go on around him. Really easy to imagine that. And part of that is because of the writing style. Groff's writing is really beautiful, very descriptive, and almost, I'd say, flowery. It's just really beautiful. And that is a really good match for the way Bit sees the world. So, in other words, I'm going to use a really old, tired expression, but Bit's got rose-colored glasses on, and he always has. He grows up like that. And then he has those kind of rose-colored glasses on into his adulthood. He doesn't see the flaws of Arcadia or the many people living around him. He might, but he's such a passive observer, and almost non-judgmental, I'd say. You can, just by looking at what's happening through Bit's eyes, you can make your own judgments, and I like that a lot about this book. So anyway, of course, the place is magical and beautiful as Arcadia doesn't last, and at least it doesn't last in the form that it took when Bit when Bit was a child. He spends much of his adult life dreaming of it, wanting to go back, wanting to create it. And his wife, who once lived in Arcadia as well with him, she has to remind him over and over, hey, we never had enough to eat. We were always cold. It really wasn't that great. The story of his wife, her name is Helly. And that's a whole other story on its own that I'm really leaving out of here just because of spoilers. I don't want to spoil it, but she's a big part of the story, and there is a love story, more than one actually. So highly recommend this book. But before I go, I would like to read the prologue, or the opening scene of Arcadia. The women in the river singing. This is Bit's first memory, although he hadn't been born when it happened. Still, the road winding through the mountains is clear to him. The rest stop with the yellow flowers that closed under the children's touch. It was dusk when the caravan saw the river greening around the bend and stopped there for the night. It was a blue spring evening and cold. On the banks, trucks and buses and vans circled like bison against the wind. the double-decker pink piper at the heart. Handy, their leader, was on the piper's roof doing sun salutations to the dying day. Naked children darted on the fringes of camp, their skin rough with goosebumps. The men built a bonfire, tuned guitars, started suppers of vegetable stews and pancakes. The women washed clothes and linens in the frigid river, beating wet fabric against the rocks. In the last light, shadows grew from their knees, and the current sparked with suds. Bit's mother, Hannah, unbent to peel a sheet like a membrane from the water's surface. She was all round, cheek, limb, hair in a golden loop of braids. The denim of her overalls was taut at the belly, where Bit was inside, building, cell by cell. On the bank, his father, Abe, paused to watch Hannah, her head cocked as she listened to the other women singing, a smile just under her lips. Later, the smells of supper died underneath the wood smoke, and the fire blazed against the cold. More music. Froggy went a-courtin' and Handy's famous rasp. Michael, row the boat ashore, the sounds of silence. The laundry dried on the bushes, specters at the edge of sight. It is impossible that Bit could remember all this. Weeks before his birth, 3 years before Arcadia, 1968, all over the radio, Quezon and the Grenoble Olympics, the caravan in the middle of a hopscotch across the country, that evening with its blue light and bonfire and sheets ghosting in the dark. But he does. The memory clings to him, told by Arcadia until it became communal, told again and again until the story grew inside him to become Bit's own. Night, fire, music. Abe's back, keeping out the cold. Hannah leaning against Abe's toasted front. Bit himself curled within his parents, wrapped in their happiness. Happy. And that, my friends, is what I've got for you today. We do have Arcadia in our collection if you care to check it out. I highly recommend. It is a great book, great writing, great story. All in all, I love it so much. And thank you so much for tuning in for another book chat. I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.